Hey guitar champion, what's going on? I'm 𝗙𝙤𝙦𝗚𝗏 back from my practice cave and welcome to today's video. My picking technique skyrocketed to a certain level in the last 4 years. Much more than in the 20 years of non-stop practicing before that. Why is that so? Well, I'm going to tell you in a few different videos on this YouTube channel here. But today I want to show you 5 tips and 5 licks that I started to include into my practice routine, which really helped me to develop a controlled and fast fundamental speed picking technique. It is time to tackle our right hand, so let's do it. Here we go. And definitely watch that video till the end, because exercise number 4 and 5 definitely helped to get such a huge awareness and such a huge improvement on my picking in the last couple of months. Tip number 1 that I want to give to you is practice your right hand individually. Every morning, the first thing that I do when I get to my guitar is practicing the right hand. And I do this individually, which means I mute the left hand and do this. Of course, together with the best friend of a musician, a metronome, I go through different pattern on our right hand when it comes to speed picking. Doesn't matter if the Paul Gilbert lick is just the right hand only, or like some two-way pick slanting licks, or just going 3-note per strings pattern up and down, and much more. And this helped me a lot to understand that my right hand is really depending on the left hand, and we don't want that dependency. We want our right hand independent, and to get that we have to practice our right hand individually. For example, when you are currently working on a certain picking lick, doesn't matter if some pentatonic licks or some 3-note per strings lick, just go there, mute the left hand and try to play this lick with the right hand only. You will realize, ooh, this is harder than you might think in the first place. But it's definitely worth to do this for a while, because you create an awareness about your right hand, which really helps to achieve your picking goals. Alright, and here comes the first lick that I have for you. The first lick is based on this pattern. I really love this pattern to build up speed, because it is rather simple for a right hand. We only have to play 6 notes per string. We doesn't have to take care about odd numbers or notes per string. And in the left hand we have a combination out of a skipping movement, going from number 3 of that 3-note per string scale to 1. And then we have ascending movement and a descending movement. So 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Sorry for the desynchronization, my left hand is a little bit tired today. And now from this pattern I've created this lick here. If you want to have the free tabs and a full explanation of that lick for free, then check the link in the description box. There you can download the link. And as a little side note, on my Patreon I not only have 5 more licks that you can explore for your picking technique, I also have a full workout with this lick where we are practicing together this lick up to tempo. Let's move on to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is have the right picking motion, the right picking motor. And my way to pick, as well as for 80% of all crazy speed pickers, the right picking motion is this motion here, which is called the ural and the radial deviation. For beginners, this may feel weird in the beginning. You rather think of something like this, or maybe something like this. But recent research has found out that not only this is actually the fastest motion that our wrist can do, this is also the motion where we have the most control over what's going on here on our right hand. Try to avoid picking out of your arm like this. Certain guitar players, yes, they later recruit muscles from the triceps and the biceps to get more speed, but the main motor is still the wrist movement. Like for example, 𝙎𝙤𝙢𝙢𝙁 is doing something like this. Or as well, guitar players players like Petrucci, etc. But they all are doing it for the cost of precision, and they mostly are doing it only, like for example Rusty Cooley, when they have to play more simple but really fast lines. So lines that are more depending on even number of notes per string and not necessarily odd numbers of notes per string. So again, this movement is our picking movement. Try to be as fixed and as relaxed as possible in the other section of your arm when you're doing fast picking. Hello 𝙭𝙀𝙀, that's my dear cat 𝙭𝙀𝙀, come here. Alright, now to prevent not being stuck between the strings, we need the so-called supination and pronation. This is as well something where I would say 90% of all high-speed crazy pickers, doesn't matter if next generation or old generation, are using this, not doing this. Some of them, as for me for example, we are calling this technique pick slanting. Others may call it different or whatnot, but they all are doing it. They're all using supination and pronation movement to get the tip of the pick free in the air and have maximum freedom to go from one string to the next string. Pick slanting is a huge topic for me, something that really helped me in my playing. And if you want to know more about pick slanting, then I highly recommend to check out, of course, Troy Grady. He is the master and inventor of pick slanting and with all of his work, but also my online masterclass, which is called the ZEN of Speedpicking. Link is in the description box. There you will get more information about that. And now let's move on to the lick that I've prepared for you. So lick number 2 is called the Paul Gilbert lick. This pattern here where we have 3 notes on the D string, 1 note on the G string, and then we are descending to the D string to start all over again. And I combine this pattern together with a scale run. And fast, it will sound and look like this. Alright, tip number 3 is unnecessary energy consumption kills endurance and precision. What do I mean by that? Everything that we do that activates some sort of muscles will consume energy that we need for precision. Or otherwise, it is harder for our brain to send the correct signal when we have more muscles activated. And sometimes this activation can happen real quickly, like for example by doing this. Oh, and you see how my muscle here gets tightened and tensed up, right? Or by doing this, the other way around, doing a real big fist. Before we start with picking, I call this the default position. And when we already have a supination here like this, or a flexion like this, or even a radial deviation like this before we start picking. You see how everywhere in my arm muscles get activated when I do these kind of motion. This is unnecessary energy consumption. So try to find a default position where you are as relaxed as possible. And I recommend to do it like this. Just check out of your arm, let it loose behind you or something like that, and then just grab it. And however you grab this right now here, this is the most relaxed version of your fingers, of your arm, and whatnot. So when we have our arm here like this, with no flexion or no tension here, with no supination or pronation in the default position, or no radial or ulnar deviation in the default position, then no unnecessary muscles are activated, and we can focus with our brain on the right muscles that we need to do all the high-speed picking action. And now let's go to the next lick that I have prepared for you. The pattern is based on this here. And the whole lick goes like this. Now, up to tempo. Again, if you want to have a full lesson on these licks, check the link in the description box. There you can download it for free. Now, tip number 4 is something that I always recommend here on this channel, and it is analyze yourself as much as possible. You can do this with recording your audio, but you can also do this with recording your video, filming your video in slow motion, or going through the videos frame by frame. This really helped me, but I have a new technological invention that just came out recently and really helps to boost my playing to the next level. It is, I don't know if you already have this in your house. If yes, grab it right now and start working on your picking. If not, I highly recommend to get it, but these are really, really rare. I don't know where to find them, but let me show you one, because I was lucky enough to get 2 of these. I believe these things were called a mirror. I don't know if you have ever heard about it. For me, this is a totally new invention, and every time when I look into it, it's like... But for picking, this is really helpful, because the mirror, and now jokes aside, can give you an instant feedback of what you're doing in your right hand. You don't have to record yourself, you don't have to set up anything here or there, and then film, and then rewatch the tape. You can do while practicing. Check out your right hand and check out, okay, do I have the right picking motion? Do I do something weird with my fingers or with my thumb? We're going to talk about the thumb in the next tip. But yeah, this is really, really useful. Anyways, I also recommend to use video and recording yourself as much as possible, because our perception is still limited when we are practicing. But for that instant feedback, the mirror, really way to go. Really great tool. Maybe one of the best tools besides the metronome, of course. Lick number 4 is something which is called the Pepsi lick. And there we have 2 different ways. We have an outside picking Pepsi lick and an inside picking Pepsi lick. And here I'm combining both. The pattern goes like this. And then I play this horizontally through the scale. Alright, let's check out this lick fast. And the final tip is play with the flat side of your pick. What I did until recently is that when I start playing fast, I start to tighten up my thumb and play more with the side of the pick. I recently changing that habit. You see, even me, somebody who's practicing guitar for 20 years and somebody who for the last 4 years did nothing else than practicing his picking technique every day for hours, is still changing something. Because change is not bad. Don't be afraid of creating bad habits or these kind of things. No, there are no bad habits. We get experience in our body awareness. The most important thing is to analyze yourself here and there and maybe start changing something when you realize, oh, this is not good or that's not good. And what I realized is that when I have my thumb like this, my pick is kind of loose between my thumb and my index finger, and it has a lot of freedom to move. And with that freedom to move, I lose precision. So what I'm currently practicing and working on is to have the thumb more flat. This is another thing, a little bit of an anatomical kind of thing. You see, a lot of people have a junk here, knuckle here, that really pops out. And by that, it's easier for them to grab the pick really flat. But I can't do that. My thumb is more like this if I want to have it flat. So this wouldn't be flat because now it's stretched out. But anyways, this is something that I have to deal with, maybe you not. But still, I try to have it more flat, and by that I will play a little bit more with the flat side. Why? Because then I have more pick attack and a little bit more kind of sound. But it's also harder for my muscles. I really have to work on my endurance again, because by tightening up my thumb like this and more playing with the side, we have less resistance between the pick and the string, so it's easier to play really fast, but you always have that scratchy sound, and again, the precision gets a little bit lost by the wobbling around of your pick here. I saw that especially when I filmed myself in slow motion. So again, currently I'm practicing to have the pick a little bit more flat and to have a little bit more pick attack by using the flat side of the pick. Every time when I change a habit, I will do this and work on it for minimum 6 weeks, because I think we judge really quickly about different kind of techniques or different kind of habits. So after 6 weeks, I would say I have practiced it enough to make a judgment about if this is good or this is not good. I will talk more about these kind of things pretty soon. I'm working on a bigger video about picking, where I'm analyzing modern next generation guitar players and their picking technique, and also debunking a certain video that was released by a certain metal guitar player who is claiming that these kind of things that this kind of way to pick is the fastest way to pick, even though that he is not doing it. So I highly recommend to subscribe to the channel. Check this playlist over here. I provide there all kinds of picking videos that I've released in the past. And yeah, I wish you a lot of fun learning, practicing and mastering these licks and getting your picking finally there where you want it to be. It's a long journey, but it's a really fun journey. Check out the free tabs in the description box. I hope I'm going to see you in my next video. Cheers! And now let's check out the final lick that I have provided for you, where we are going to combine all the licks that we've learned today into one big massive speed picking lick. Warning, this is not an easy lick, and I highly recommend to go through the program of the ZEN of speed picking before really getting into this lick. You will find more information in the description box, but if you are brave enough, then it's time to check out this lick.